Chrono Daggers.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I was just looking
I'm not
through
sure
my games
who-
from today.
I'm not sure who cooked that one up. Lots of people trying lots of stuff. It's exciting.
Yeah. I think if they would have started, they thought too long at the beginning of the turn.
Can't do that.
Yeah,
go
I
time.
think they were.
You gotta be clicking that knick-knack shack right away.
Yes, I think they were debating on, do I go in or do I try to clear this because I had lethal on board? Like, do I take the guaranteed clear and try to wait till next turn or go? And then they ran out of time.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I feel that. I played a whole bunch of like combo stuff, and you're like, well, you just got to go for it. Like that was how nature shaman was like, because there's a lot of there's a bunch of discover stuff, and you're like, well, if I discover that Crash of Thunder, then I win, right? Like I forget what it was. It was the two discover, like the double discover. You're just like, well, I got to go in, and yeah. I can't imagine the Quasar deck is good, but
I doubt it. Also, I've also very much enjoyed beating up on Aura Paladins who play Gelbin and then just double Grave Strength and they die. That's been quite enjoyable as well. Or one with Hero Power, copy it with Elise Location and just deal 30 out of nowhere.
Okay, so you're playing like that Elise Unholy build. I saw a few variations on that. My problem when I played that is like Manifested Time Waves would wipe my board.
Yes.
Leeches are still a problem. Yeah, it's still like I did not do well with a version of that deck yesterday.
I did avoid most leeches. I lost, looks like 2 of my 6 losses were Death Knight, but I'm 32-6 with the deck, and I was playing it before.
Wow, you got to give me this list then, because I've been trying to figure it out.
Wait, what deck have you been playing?
The deck I sent you.
Oh yeah, no, that's good.
Both of us hit Legend with the same deck, and then
and I won at a 70% clip.
Yeah, Jolt C.
Wow,
tweaked a couple cards and also jumped like 2K ranks with it.
Oh, he posted that in the VS Discord. The card I didn't like Exarch in that. I didn't really see the point of it.
Actually, I didn't either, but it really comes in handy.
What are you cheating? Or are you just trying to play?
He took out Firac and put in Wisp for the Elise instead. Mm-hmm. I've kept Firac just as a Hail Mary. And sometimes you play it on 6 and just win the game. Or sometimes you give your opponent lethal, because I definitely played as a Hail Mary one game and killed myself the first.
And sometimes you haven't played. Sometimes, like I like having the what's the guy that you get the double, you get the reborn if you spend 4 corpses.
Tomb Guardians.
I like those, but like you don't have a whole lot of corpse spenders in there. But it's nice because you can play like play the dude, play Exarch, then play Silence of Yesterday, whatever the hell it's called, and then you drop your giants. And it's pretty nice. Like it definitely it's probably a card that you could get rid of, but it also has its place, and it's felt really good. It's felt really good to get Kerrigan down early, whatnot. So
yeah. Okay, so this is the same problem that I had or challenge. It's like, don't you feel like there's like almost no 3-drops here?
Yeah, Creature Madness, and a lot of times.
Madness. Oh, Joltsy didn't have the creature.
And a lot of times you drop on turn 1. You drop
made a lot of changes.
You have 1 drop, so sometimes you just hero powering with the mosquito or a body bagger or something.
Mm-hmm. So the list that I'm playing is in our Discord chat right now.
Okay, cool.
So
I'll have to. I'm always like, oh, I see a list and I have to tweak it. I really got to give people more like, if you've got such a great record with it, I just gotta try it.
To try it, then tweak it.
Yeah.
The one card that was
snowballed early and just 1 on 5, and then sometimes if you run into Aura Paladin and you get blown up by the Manifested Time Waves, you turn into an OTK deck. Because you build enough boards, eventually one will stick, and then you just Grave Straight them.
Yeah, I think the other version I was playing was had one blood rune mostly for infested breath, but it was also running
seen those.
three drop that does the reborn. But it definitely
yeah.
felt like if I didn't roll the bloodlust Elise location, it was very hard to close the game.
This
So-
one, yeah, this
That's
one.
why this has grave strength.
Yeah, you can feel you feel like you can like a lot of there were a few games where it's like, well, I guess I'm losing this game, and then oh wait, never mind, and you just
Yep.
Yeah, classic
I did a
bloodlust.
lot of that. I did a lot of that.
and then so like I
Well,
just
why
had
don't
a
we
game.
why don't we
like-
say we could save this for the show, right? I mean,
yes,
you
we can
need
save this for the
content.
show.
You need content
All right.
anyway, because we don't have like a main topic, right? We're just talking about mini set.
I just the new stuff, whatever we're playing, whatever we've experimented with.
Yeah. So
All right, are we ready to get going?
There, that can go there.
yeah, the only other thing is maybe
Oops.
towards the end of like new stuff discussion, maybe like speculating what's gonna keep working or what seems like it's just like a flash in the pan,
Yeah, for sure.
like meta prediction, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Or meta hopes and predictions.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the two.
Yeah, I've been busy this weekend, so that was just as you were typing Slither Drake in all caps, I was still going through the cards and making sure I didn't miss anything. I'm like, I'm getting there. I'm going class by class.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's every class. Yeah.
I didn't forget that one. I promise.
All right.
Did you put the imbue? Did you put Rogue Imbue on here?
Nope. I've got new decks. Sorry, I put so where you type is decks that archetypes we've already had that have gotten a boost because of new cards.
Oh, okay.
Or they've swapped new cards in. I forgot to type that.
Oh, okay.
For sure. Yeah, I had it typed and then I forgot to move it.
Okay. I don't know. I think we put the like Elise yeah, Broxic DH. I think we could also put like the Elise Death Knight stuff in there. It's pretty new.
It was I picked up the list before the mini set. I
Yeah,
found there's a couple
but
top 200 lists that's what I grabbed and just started running away with. And then the new cards definitely helped it.
Yeah,
It's more popular now.
Yeah, I would say most people didn't know about it. So
Most people still don't know about it, really. I mean, as far as
looks like No
I need to grab
Hands
something quick.
Gamer streamed it, so it might pick
Ah,
up a
there we
little
go.
bit. Or this list is super similar to yours.
he probably
Okay,
he probably went to streamer decks on HS Guru, saw mine, and said, "Okay, let's do this. If Tito's using it, it must be fine."
Wow, it has like no bad matchups. It has like a lot of 50-50s, but otherwise green.
Yeah,
Pretty
no,
impressive.
it's been. You can kind of stall out a little bit sometimes. Like if you don't if you don't snowball early, sometimes it can feel like, well, I guess I'm done. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, when the Protoss
Death
Priest
Knight?
plays the sometimes it just sometimes you can feel like if you don't get like enough going early, it does stall out.
I was just pulling up to have the replay at a Paladin game. Full mulligan. Didn't have anything to play before turn 3. And I won very easily still. On
Right.
8.
Nice.
It spikes hard. Yeah, the list I'm playing is 100% copied from someone else. I forget who it was. I forgot to type it in for credit when I grabbed it off of wherever I found it from.
All right, are you boys ready?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Bread and Butter, where we're serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement. This is episode 154, and as always, I am joined by Pilot. Pilot, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, enjoying a nice 3-day weekend, and we have a returning guest filling in at the last minute for another guest that couldn't be here, so we appreciate him. World 8, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. And as always, very happy to be here. Thanks.
Oh, we love having you. So what have you been doing inside of Hearthstone?
Well, so I've been playing a bunch of stuff. I found the mini set pretty compelling, even before it released, I was, looking over lists and actually did a lot of theory crafting. which is pretty rare for a mini set, to be honest. There's some, specifically because of some other cards we'll talk about later. But like Remnant of Rage and Slither Drake, both, enable a lot of Elise decks that weren't comfortably Elise decks before. So I've been playing a bunch of those. I've still been very stubborn about Egglock. If anyone listened to the last podcast I was on, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to hit Legend. Well, yes, I hit Legend with Egglock. I just grinded it out. I had a pretty good win rate, something like, I was like 2-1 on winning to losing, right? Like I would gain, you do that slow diamond climb, and I did well there. And so I tweeted the list, and then everyone else did not do well with it. They picked it up. So I felt a little guilty, even though I had done well with it. But trying a lot of different stuff, it's always exciting when you feel like some new decks are out there, and I like to try them. And one of the other things when people are trying new decks is like they really go into the collection again. Jean Bright talked about this when I was on here. I've talked about it. Pilots talked about it. You just kind of like flip through the collection and say, well, what is this? Does this work? Does this do anything? And so people are trying to, they're pulling in some cards that they haven't tried yet, and they actually look pretty good in other existing decks. And so mostly I've been playing variations on established things and Egglock, but also I'm taking pretty much every list that comes my way. Just an exciting time to be playing right after things change. They might, the meta might kind of get stale in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I'm not looking to do anything competitive this month. So I'm happy just kind of like playing at my own pace and having fun with that time frame of maybe like a week or so where everything is still changing day over day.
See, this is why I like having World 8 on, because a lot of times we'll have a guest on. We'll be like, "What have you been doing in Hearthstone?" They'll be like, "I've been playing Mage." So we get the good stuff from you. I appreciate it. Pilot, what have you been doing inside of the game?
I finished my Legend Climb this morning. I talked a little bit last week. I think I had picked up the triple Unholy Death Knight and have been doing well with it, and then swapped in new cards with the mini set and found a tweaked list with that, and sped up to a Legend through Diamond. I'm 32-6 with the deck before and after the mini set total, so that deck has been very, very good to me. I was telling you guys before the show, had a Paladin game this morning that might have been my final boss, actually, where I had a couple 3-drops I didn't really want my mulligan, a bunch of expensive stuff. I'm like, full mulligan, let's get 1s and 2s, mulligan into a 6 and 2 7-drops or something like that. Like, well, this is going to go well. I won on 8 because they played Gelbin, and then they blew up from 30 because I had the Bloodlust Elise location and Hero Power and a Grave Strength. So that deck does a lot of damage out of nowhere. I also been played a little bit of the Imbue Rogue, just because I saw enough experimentation and enough lists that looked decent and fun, and I got to play with my signature Eudora finally. So that's been entertaining. Mixed success, but entertaining, at least in those games on my side of things. I don't know about the other side. And then I saw Edelweiss posted in one of the Discords earlier today a burn rogue that she had been playing around with. And I'm like, I need to try this because I tried making a burn and aggro overload shaman work, and that failed horrendously. But this rogue is right up my alley, and I'm 2-0 with it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm 2-0, and I beat a quest warrior that I had no business beating, even without doubling my chrono daggers, because Ham ate my Borchi. I threw down all my spell damage and said, well, if it's enough, I win. If it's not, I concede. And it was just enough.
Fair enough. And I also hit legend this week. I also hit legend with this triple unholy death knight, and I believe it was Saturday. I was streaming, and Pilot just dropped the list in the chat, and I picked it up, and I just started winning, and I pretty much rolled to legend from D5. It was fairly easy. I think it was about a 70% win rate clip. It was fun. It was easy. So and this was after starting the week earlier, trying to make Overload Shaman work, and then Asteroid Shaman work, and then Overload Imbue Shaman work, and then so I decided on Saturday or
My bad.
today's no. I
Some of those are mine.
Some of those were yours, but I initially said, you know what, everyone's doing all these things with Rogue and stuff. Let's try to find something that no one's doing, and I tried to make Shaman work. And so far, no luck. But I decided we're gonna do this in a more efficient way. So I'm gonna work on my rank in America normally, where I'm gonna play good decks or questionably good decks. But when I'm playing these really bad decks, I went to EU and I just dusted a bunch of stuff and I crafted a bunch of shaman cards. And I said, all right, this is my shaman area playlist right now. And this is where I'm going to work on things. And then I opened up Asia, and I started working on some other stuff, random decks. And I'm like, I'll mess with decks there because I don't care about my ranks. And over here in America, and I was cursing you silently, World 8, the other day because I was playing this triple unholy, and it's pretty good against most decks, but once those 2020 start coming down, we're really not getting through those. And I ran to that egg lock, and I was like, God darn it, World 8, stop promoting this thing. But but oh yeah, overall, just kind of trying to make new decks work, and then now we're just trying to make decent decks work, I suppose. World 8, what have you been doing outside of the game?
So it's been an interesting week, mostly because parenting can be really fun. The boys were sick, passing it back and forth between each other, and so not a lot of sleep this week, because of course they were getting sick in the middle of the night and then staying home, and that disrupted everything. But at the same time, just it's a positive experience, where I love my boys. It just felt like that kind of ate up my whole week. My older son, while he was at home, I gave him the Portal collection over Christmas, and I was just thinking, this is kind of fun, like I only played the first game, to be honest. And he kind of like, I was like, sure, he'll like this. He loves it. He's obsessed with it. He's beaten it. He's done all the dev commentary. And this weekend he was really pushing for me to play the co-op mode with him, which is really cool. It's like a split screen and you're both doing Portal stuff and there's all these puzzles. I never imagined I'd be, get that chance to play Portal with somebody much, much less my son, who's doing all the puzzle solving, by the way. I solved, like, we've done maybe a dozen puzzles. I've solved like one of them. And he's like, wait, don't move. I've got this. You put your portal here, then here, and I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, man, you drive.
That's awesome.
But parenting's got its ups and its downs, and that was pretty much the whole week.
How about yourself, Pilot? How was your non-parroting week?
Not too bad. Finally feeling a little bit better from whatever I came down with. Can't quite shake the cough and like the last little bit of chest congestion, but I feel functional again, which is better than last weekend. I had a free day or a free evening that lined up with one of my local game stores that normally hosts Lorcana a night that doesn't work for me. I'm like, hey, I can finally go. And then I get there like 15 minutes before it says it starts and they're already playing. I already saw 2 or 3 times and then found out they weren't playing the normal mode. They were playing an unofficial format because they're like, we didn't think anyone else was showing up. But thankfully they had an extra deck. So I got to try heroic format, which is the commander equivalent for Lorcana. So 100 card singleton deck. And then you pick a legendary card, you pick a card that has specifically an ally tag on it, and then a spell. And then, we were playing 4-player. It was a lot of fun. I probably would have enjoyed it even more and done better if I knew what cards were in the deck, because I just got one of their decks. I looked through, saw what my big cards were. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out on the fly, and kept drawing cards like, oh, I've never seen this before. So it was fun. But a nice little change of pace. Then went to our district, had their high school honors concert today, and we had a handful of students get accepted into that. So got to go support them, and the choir actually sang a handful of pieces from video games in the middle of it. So that was entertaining me. I'm like, oh, I actually know these ones. So including the menu theme from Civ 6. So that was fun. And then been trying to figure out what the next kind of non-Hearthstone RPG style game I'm going to play is. And I decided to pick up Eternal Strands. I've had it on Game Pass and kind of like marked as play later. And then as I was listening to Joss on the Gamers Inn, she did a special talking specifically about EA and all the things that they have done over the years. But one of the things that she mentioned is the lead, one of the lead writers and stuff for Dragon Age, the first 3 Dragon Age games, had formed this studio that Eternal Strands was the first thing, and it was all these BioShock and Ubisoft devs that came together. I'm like, this sounds like something that will be up my alley then. So I picked that up. I'm like 2 hours in, but it's been fun to at least start. We'll see if it keeps my interest or not.
And last week for me, with the sickness theme that World 8 started with, my wife was sick. So and she was sick because she texted me and was like, "Hey, can you come home?" Because I work in Rhode Island, so I ended up coming back to New Hampshire for a couple days, going back to Rhode Island, working a couple days, coming back, and she's still kind of on the end of it, but at least the 3-day weekend kind of helped. We have the day off tomorrow, and I just for the most part have nothing exciting. I cleared snow. I get to clear snow. I like when I get to do that because that means I'm not paying for it. Get to do some more tomorrow, and that's fine. And I played Civ this weekend, and I played a lot of Hearthstone, and keeping it simple. Nothing too exciting. I just rearranged our console out there, and I made sure that we have easy access to the DVD player, and the I was trying to get the NES hooked up, but I can't find the power cable. And then I get the Wii U can be swapped out easy, and the NES can be swapped in easy, and got it all organized. 'Cause I've been meaning to do that for a while, so I just did that just before the show, which was nice to get done. But Pilot, do we have any news this week?
We do have some news, most of which we talked about last week because we got patch 34.4 with the mini set. So that is all live with 38 new cards. Talked enough about that. Also, with the patch, we got an arena update. So new arena season previous runs were ended, and now the new pool consists of Across the Timeways, Lost City of Unguro, Into the Emerald Dream, Caverns of Time, Taverns of Time, Titans, Voyage to the Sunken City, and the event set. So Caverns of Time, for those of you who forgot, that was the wild only set where it was some new cards and some reworked or buffed wild cards. And Taverns of Time is the arena specific set that's come back kind of once a year. So those are all in. I do think we'll kind of get to this a little bit. They've already banned a handful of cards from that were overperforming. So there's some funkiness and balance with arena. I could see a couple more cards being tweaked. I've seen a lot of infinite wolves running over people, which is a hunter card. Then we got announcements for a couple of events. We have one currently going on through February 3rd. Echoes of the Infinite that gives 4 Across the Timeways packs, 2 random epics, 1 one golden card pack, a card back, and a coin cosmetic. And then we will have at the beginning of February 3rd through the 10th, we have a 1-week event that gives a couple of packs, a random unowned card back from 3 different years, as well as a Lunara hero skin for Druid. We have a new Dark Moon Fair, and then we have a couple of bug fixes. Most notable on those, they did fix the bug where Ziliax would not restore health from lifesteal when it included avatar form, where that was a bug that we talked about a month ago. That has been fixed. Um, Green Reform's text is now correctly describing what's actually happening. There was a text bug, but it was functioning correctly, where now it gives other Reforms before it said all, and it implied that it buffed itself. There is apparently a bug in Wild where if you played Bone Lord Frost Whisper and um, died from, or after you were revived from Husk, then the mana discount would go away. That's been fixed. Most of the other bugs are visual bugs or very very specific things or wild related.
All right, cool. So
But
what do you, well, I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about, and if there are news, right? So we might as well go into the topic.
sorry, I was trying to jump to my other tab. I was trying to remember if there's any tracked issues that are noteworthy. Oh, couple known issues that are noteworthy. Time Looper Toki got an accidental buff. Apparently, it's generating 4 spells instead of 3 when it got changed to a 3 mana and it was 3 spells. Now it's 4 spells instead of 3. So that's something that's on the list. And then apparently, if you get a miniaturized minion with the Rogue Imbue, if you return it to hand, it doesn't provide another mini. That is a known issue that they are working on, as well as in Wild, Plot Twist is not working with the new quest, and they said that will be fixed with the next hot fix patch.
All right. So, Pilot, what's our main topic tonight?
New stuff. What have we been trying with the new cards and any new decks, any new builds that we've been doing? We've talked about some of them already, but World 8, have there any kind of new decks or anything that you've been trying to build around with and play with?
Yeah. Well, I think of all the new decks that like I just took up on its own naked was the Broxigar DH, where you're turbo cycling through your deck, you're getting all your portals, and then you're trying to, probably you can OTK with Broxigar and 10 mana and 2 Brewmasters. But it's pretty aggressive deck with lots of stingers and lots of little minions, so usually don't even need to do a full combo there. But I never played Broxigar before this week, not once, right? Like I've played like a ton of Portals to Argus, right? And I never got past Portal 3. Right? It was if I had like I found one and then I had the axe equipped, I'd probably get to 3, but the decks that ran it weren't like turbo draw. So that was pretty cool to try out. The deck is very legitimate, uh, despite running like tokens and Immolation Aura, right? Like weird things like that because Remnant of Rage, right? The 7 mana new minion that costs 1 less for each creature that died, and you draw 2. It works incredible in this deck, right? Pretty often it's 2 mana or free. And you get through your deck and you get to do a lot of pressure things. It's also playing Press the Advantage, which is a really nice solid card. And so there's the cycle Demon Hunter, I guess, or you can call it Broxigar Demon Hunter for short. That was pretty fun. That's been pretty interesting, but I think I queued into like 2 or 3 like really grindy decks, like a Quest Warrior that had like I don't know 40 armor, and then there was a some kind of leeches deck that was also like way up there. And after those experiences, I was like, well, this is obviously not the deck for every matchup, and it's got its polarized matchups. So I tried it out, and I tried a few games of Aura Paladin, which is not really a new deck, but it feels very much like a new deck. With the acceleration aura basically saying, "Hey, I know you don't have any 3 drops, but your 4 drops are really good. So let's just jump to those." It's, and so that felt strong. It's a little I don't think it's really my taste. As much as I I'm fine with these kind of like curve stone decks. Um, you know, you're still really not getting like online until 7. And the whole time I'm like, I've got Crusader Auras up, and I'm like, I just want to go face with this stuff. And you're kind of just slowly gaining that advantage to the end of the game. And it's a very powerful deck, all things considered. Wasn't quite my speed. And then I think the other big thing is putting either Slither Drake or Remnant of Rage into a whole bunch of decks to fill out an Elise 7 drop. One of the things that I tried was like, we have a pretty good like dragon package. So like if you put Gift Wrap Whelpin and Petal Peddler and the Slither Drake, and then you do Whelp of the Infinite, like you've already got this like pretty good base of dragons, maybe like Portal Vanguard. And you can put that into a lot of shells that want to do aggressive things. So the Heron or the Heron Death Knights with the Stegodon, like that was already running a whole bunch of dragons. So that was pretty cool. I was kind of getting run over by things still though. The challenge, right, is there's not a lot like if you don't lead with that gift rod whelp, the deck does still kind of like fall a bit behind. Doesn't have really great tempo. And then I was also trying an aggro Death Knight that was passed to me. Not quite the list. It wasn't running triple unholy, and I could really feel that. So it was using the Remnants of Rage again as activators for release, and so that part felt really good. But it wasn't triple unholy, so was relying a lot on Elise location, the terror run rolling the +2 attack. So when it didn't hit that, it felt like I couldn't close out games. So a bunch of that. So the 2/7 drops really enabled a whole bunch of Elise decks. Also played some aggro Demon Hunter, both with like a pretty straightforward Remnant of Rage again approach, where you take all the things that you were playing before in aggro Demon Hunter, and you already have an 8 drop with the Serpent. The Remnant gives you a 7 drop. The Climbing Hook is a very reasonable 6 drop. Chronocar, the new dragon, is really good. I like that card a lot. Very low like we can talk a little bit more about that in cards, but that card feels great. I mean, it's 5 mana, 9 damage, right? As long as you keep going to its face or something like that. Very aggressive card, very much my speed. Um, so a whole bunch of new things that I feel like were enabled by specifically the new 7 drops. Even before the show, I was trying like an imbue paladin with the Slither Drake, right? Acceleration aura. It felt fine. You know, I don't know if it's worth pursuing anymore, but I'm just trying a whole bunch of stuff. Um, so maybe these are not brand new decks, but they've been on the shelf for so long or so unpopular. I'm gonna rack them up as new decks. I think you know you guys probably have more to share, but I have a long queue of decks to try, including the Asteroid Shaman. I have another build of that with the Shade. Probably going to be bad, but I'm going to keep pushing forward. But so far, you know, for me, a lot of Demon Hunter, a lot of Death Knight because of Remnant of Rage, and I don't know, I've really liked the new neutrals. They feel pretty balanced.
It's funny you say too. So going back to the Demon Hunter, I remember when we had you on before the expansion release, you were talking about how the Broxigar needs to be turbo drawed, and I expected you to have something like that, but I guess you never kind of got there. But I also saw the same thing where I just saw on Saturday night. I believe the first time I've seen Broxigar played, it was against me, but first time all season. I might have seen it in theory crafting, but I don't even remember if it happened in theory crafting. It was more just it finally got played and got bounced back to their hand, but I never saw it again. But it took it was one of those ones. I'm like I never thought that we were ever going to see it. It just was like too slow compared to everything else. And but yeah, Pilot, what have you been playing or trying to make work?
The main thing for new stuff is threw in for the Unholy Death Knight, the Remnant of Rage fits right into that deck. Just as normally, typically, you don't get to play it until later in the game. Even though you have a bunch of tokens, if you're putting tokens on the board, normally they're trading them off so that they don't get hit by a Grave Strength. But it's still pretty solid to where a lot of turn fives you play Elise Location, trade off all the Raptors, and then if you had something else on board, then it possibly lets you play that, or on turn six afterwards. So that kind of was able to fill the 7 drops slot for that, and we were able to drop Story of Umbra. As fun as that card was when you got the occasional Space Rock, and had an 8/8 and 2 4/4s with the Death Rattle, that card was not good. So mainly been playing that. Tried out the Imbue Rogue. I've seen there's so many different lists of that to where there's kind of the Elise, slower, definitely grindy list. I know some people have been trying to make it more aggressive and treat it similar to how we did the Imbue and Priest with when we had Menagerie Priest and we threw in the Imbue, just in an aggressive. I've seen good win rates from decks on both of those. I did not get the aggressive one to work for me, but I haven't gone back to it since some more experimentation happened. Slower list I've seen all over the place. I made sure I grabbed one with Eudora just because I've had signature Eudora since that set came out and I haven't had a good chance to play it yet. So I was playing it, whether it was good or not. So those have been the main 2 successful ones that I've played with. I mentioned I really wanted to make an aggressive overload shaman, because we have a handful of 1-cost overload stuff. First Contact is a card that feels like it should be much better than it ever is. And I'm like, this has got to have something here. And I kept going, and I just always ran out of cards. I just kept running out of cards because I could not find a draw engine that worked for me with that deck. I also tried doing, an overload with asteroids. That was even worse. I played one game with that deck and deleted it because it didn't even feel close enough for me to try to refine it.
Well. To be fair, you had forgotten that Triangulate was a card.
So I did, but I still, that needs to be all one direction, not split like I tried to do. So those were not successful experiments. I did put Triangulate in. Oh no, that's a different deck. I did not put it in the other deck that I tried. Never mind. So those are kind of what I experimented with. I haven't gotten around to the Broxgar DH. I did try a couple of different things with an aggro DH where I tried a couple different packages rather than just swapping something out for Chronogar. Tried to make the Roach work that refreshes 2 with your hero power and kind of do like we had an attack DH for a while where it's just build your heroes attack and smack them with your face. Tried to kind of go that route and throw in the sauna regulars from the Priest Tourist, and wasn't quite as good as what the regular list is, so I bounced off of that pretty quickly.
And I tried to take the approach of, if I can make something that no one else is playing, maybe I can, get a little visibility from that. So I kind of took that approach early on. I had planned on streaming all day on Tuesday and just trying everything, not caring, because I was at D5, who cares? But then my wife got sick, so then I had to come home and I didn't get to stream all day. I did get to stream that night. But so during the day though, I tried to do a few things. I tried to make the first thing I did was, I've been playing the Chrono Copy Druid, so I've been playing a lot of Chrono Druid. So my thought was, hey, you can get Chrono down on 4 sometimes. So on turn 5, what if you have a Murazond that skips your turn, but it's only turn 5 and you get a board full of dragons? Made that happen a few times. I lost every single game. So skipping a turn is a major deficit almost whenever. So the dragons weren't always good enough, and maybe you can get the nuts once in a while and get a win, but even getting it early, that was because I was like, oh, we'll get it early in druid. Nope, it just didn't work for me. Now, obviously it might not have been the right build, but I don't think it mattered because I got the thing to happen early and I still died. So I did try to do a few other things. I tried to put, so I went back to the copy druid, and there was always the I don't know why I can't remember the name of the card. The one card that can possibly pull Elise half the time.
Oaken Summons.
Oaken Summons. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take Oaken Summons out, and I'm gonna put in the new aura that gives you kind of the extra mana crystal. And I lost every single game with that. That felt bad. So I went back to Oaken Summons and started winning again. So it's just, I guess sometimes you just risk drawing Elise if you're in an emergency, but that didn't seem right. And it just didn't feel, that card didn't feel good in the deck. And I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. It doesn't have the right deck. But then I'm like, all right, let's try the Shaman. And so this is where Pilot picked up. I was like, because he came in the stream and I was already kind of trying to make the Shaman work. And I think there's potential there. I want to play Imbue Shaman. So, because Imbue Shaman is fun as heck. It's one of the funner decks out there. It's just not good. And if you like winning, and winning is what's fun for you, then probably not going to like this deck. But I'm like, we have some opportunity with the Overload now to get that that Hornswaggle down. And Hornswag. Now, there is some anti-synergy with the Imbue because you can't target it with hero powers. But if you can get something behind it, so I experimented with that. And I would win. I won some games, not a lot, but I won some games. And I will say the Aberration felt a lot better than I thought it was going to be because you got a combo and deal. You have to combo and overload, and you get the Wind Fury and immunity. And you're like, all right, well, that's kind of a lot to do. But we also have a 0 mana spell in Shaman that's like Static Shock that you can also use. So that was like a nice enabler for that. And I actually would get some decent value out of that. And it was kind of a nice little early turn to kind of like maybe stem off some aggro. So I don't think it's necessarily a good card, but it's not as bad as I think we thought it was initially. So what else did we try to do? We tried to do
So I actually got to hit face with the Wing Aberration today because it's in that Burn Rogue that I was playing, and just as a one of as a 30th card, and it stuck for a turn. I'm like, sweet, I got to do something with it.
Nice, yeah. It's not as bad as people thought. I think like,
okay.
And again, it's not a good card. It might have its uses, it might have its home, but it's not there. I really wanted to. I haven't done it yet, and this is nothing to do with new cards, but I do want to start trying to see if we can make Zerg Death Knight work again because we went through this whole thing. Remember where if you listen to the VS report, all the decks that were good got nerfed, and then other decks got nerfed, and then the decks we weren't playing were good again. And I don't know if anyone ever went back to Zerg Death Knight, so I'm going to try that. And not quite yet, but maybe it's if and the Remnants of Rage, is that what it's called? The
Yes.
new card. Yeah. So that card always ends up like I do the math and I'm like, I'm going to be 1 mana short to get it down. If I trade things and all that, it's always like just one off. But that card actually has worked out pretty well. It's been pretty good when you get it down. Playing that Unholy Death Knight has been a lot of fun. It's nothing. There's a couple new cards in it, but it's nothing really like a new concept. It's spew minions on the board, try to get some to stick. And then, Bloodlust. And the Shadows of Yesteryear, which is a card that I actually thought was from the mini set because I don't think I'd ever seen it before, is actually pretty solid in that deck. And for those that don't know,
that card.
I will tell you, it's a 6 mana spell, Shadows of Yesteryear, rewind, summon 4 3/2 shades. They gain 2 random bonus effects. And now, so you get to see, hey, do I get the Reborns? You can really try to go for Reborns. You can try to go for Divine Shields. And that can potentially give you a sticky board for the Bloodlust, for the Grave Strength, but it also gives you corpses. So it's not new, but it's new because no one's been playing it. So I like it. It's been fun. I also tried to make that. I also looked at some of the really bad cards and said, okay, we're going to see if maybe they're as bad as they thought they did. So I played the Shaman Totem, And actually, it was better than I thought it was going to be because it did generate some things that were very useful for me. It's a bad card, but it would generate like power word. Power word death or whatever that kills all 5 mana things that worked that timely. And I thought it would be kind of interesting if I just played it as a target for imbue, just to like maybe get something out of it. If it sticks, I can imbue it the next turn. So not good. And I did play a little bit of the rogue. The rogue was fine. It was fun. I didn't play anything too. I just to get the feel of it. That was nothing I tried to work with, but it was a good deck. I didn't bother with the quest for warlock or hunter because everyone else was going to be doing that, and I just collected the free wins when they were playing it, so that was good. Although we did run into not quest, but last night we ran into Linny on ladder, and she was playing imbue hunter, and we got rolled pretty hard at the end there with some strong things. So she's
Double
like
Goldrin.
double Goldrin plus the core hound.
Yeah, Magma
Hound. Yeah, so maybe there's something there. But overall, just I tried to make things work, and I think that there's not a whole lot of new decks out there. Like there's a lot of new we talked about this yesterday too. I think there's a lot of reconstructed decks, some decks that have gotten decent cards, or maybe like a tool or two that has helped them move forward or get a little better, or maybe side graded to be different. But outside of some decks that maybe are getting revived a little bit, I don't really feel like there's a whole lot of new decks outside of like imbue, Mew Rogue, right? Because even like the things we're seeing, like Dragon Warrior, it's not new. It's just got the Drake. Shredlock's not new. It's just better with better dragons. So I don't know.
Is Shredlock actually even better with the dragons? Every
Seems
time I
to be.
looked up for Shredlock, it was like a 45% win rate. Every time I search for new cards.
I think it's better with dragons than it is with Rafam.
Well, Rafam and Shreds are two different decks.
Well, they've been. I've seen Shreds mixed in with Rafam.
Okay, that was as you were tumbling, making your Chrono Druid list. That was at like 10K or wherever you fell to. I don't know if I'd count that. So the aggressive Shreds lock.
Yeah, the aggressive Shreds.
I haven't seen any of it.
I've seen a little bit of it, and it does feel pretty strong. But it also can flame out pretty quickly. So
I see 46.5% on HS Guru.
All right.
So, yeah, we were talking about this last night because I got onto Tito's stream, and 5 minutes in, I hear him telling someone, it's just like, if you just want to win, just don't play any of the mini set cards. It's just like they're all bad. I'm like, hang on now. I'm like, let me finish typing up show notes, and then I'm gonna get into this. And I sat down and I went card by card and just kind of searched through, seeing what was index with enough sample size on HS Guru to show up. And it was at last night, it was 13 cards, and there's some that I missed. Is that about 15 cards that are in tier 1 and tier 2 decks for the mini set. The thing is, they're not new decks other than Imbue Rogue, which I don't think that we're supposed to expect from a mini set unless it's StarCraft. So if the entire thing's getting flipped on its head from 38 cards, then that's terrifying, in my opinion.
Well, I would agree with you that, yes, we shouldn't be expecting that from the mini set, except that we haven't gotten that from any set for a while. So I think the expectation has been new cards. Are we going to get something different? And it just hasn't happened. And maybe that's unfair to the mini set because that's not necessarily the goal of it. But however, it is what they have set up for the entirety of 2025 into 2026 is that, no, hey, nothing new. Hey, guess what? We're still playing Ziliax on 9. Hey, we're still playing Elise on 4. Hey, we're still doing all the same things. So I can understand why. And I feel the same way too. It's like, well, it's a lot of the same things, and I want to see new things, and it's just not there. So we already know in our brain, hey, we're hoping that rotation changes this. We're losing a lot of Zerg. Hey, at least we're not seeing a whole lot of starships lately, so that's something. But um I don't know. It's just we want something new. We're ready for it. We've seen the same things so often for so long, so that we have a new influx of cards. And to be fair, the cards that they really promoted were potentially cards that look like they could set up an archetype, like the quest that they put out there, the imbue stuff that they put out there for Rogue, which is hit. The Murazon, like with the like, hey, what are we doing with that? Like at least some of the cards look like, hey, maybe we can do something different with them. And I think that there was a little we're looking for hope. We're looking to hook our fingers into hope and hold on to it of like, hey, this is going to be interesting and fun and different. And it's been fun. Hasn't been that different.
So I think that, first of all, this expansion overall was just kind of like capping off the year, right? Like they had two very opinionated expansions where the decks were like the cards were very focused on a very specific deck that they were trying to build. And this expansion was the opposite, right? Coming into it, we just saw like a lot of support cards for various decks. And so even the expansion itself wasn't like, hey, this is what you should be playing. I mean, there's some standouts like the Sylvanas sisters, right? Like that was just they were so strong that they lifted, for example, Discover Hunter, like kind of out of it, not obscurity, but not a lot of terribly new things to begin with. This mini set I think is actually pretty in line with previous mini sets where it's bringing a completely new archetype. The cycle Demon Hunter, also imbue Rogue, and it's boosted Aura Paladin significantly. I don't want to be too much of a historian here, but all mini sets actually have been super impactful. I disagree. So like Lost City of Ngoro gave us like Egglock, for example. Not right away, right? But like that was a big part of it. Into the Emerald Dream, if you don't remember, the mini set actually gave us Imbue Hunter for better or worse with the dragon. The dragon was part of the one of the mini set cards. You can keep going back, like obviously StarCraft was pretty impactful. Uh, Perils in Paradise had its own suite of cards that were you could talk about like BusyBot was in the mini set. Like we've been playing that in Aggro Paladin forever, and we forget that card was actually, a mini set card or Spirit Peddler. Like these are all
Rayla, or not Skyla.
Yeah, and Skyla. Yeah, thank you. That was that was the huge one.
Yep.
Right. That's the really big one. And before that with Wizbang's Workshop, what was it? It was something. It was Pain Warlock or Painlock came out of that. Tons of Wave of Nostalgia was a pretty big deck back then. So there's a lot of mini sets that are very impactful, even if they just enable one deck, right? Like it changes everything so much. Like I've seen so much Imbue Rogue this week, that it's been great because people are enjoying playing it. Like I've heard lots of people saying, "Oh, I just finished an Imbue Rogue mirror that lasted half an hour and I love it." And I'm like, "Good for you." But those players have been like itching for this for a while.
Yes.
They've been looking for like a competitive Burgle archetype. The StarCraft, Starship was kind of there, but not really, and that definitely wasn't for everybody. It had a certain play pattern that wasn't quite Burgle because you were very limited to just like Starship pieces that you were trying to do. Where this is much more random BS go and see, like piece together your win con. You have your basic structure to it, but I think this has been a great mini set. I've said that before, on the other places, and I think that of all things, people were coming in and saying this is not impactful. I saw some comments saying this was a skip, and for some people, yes, you could definitely save your gold, maybe craft one or two cards. Like that is very true. But to say there's no impact, I think is a complete falsehood when the most popular deck on ladder, the most popular class on ladder in Buke Rogue exists because of this mini set. So there's a bit of a, we glossed over it, but 30% of the meta was imbue rogue for the first 3-4 days. Like every third game, you were facing a completely new archetype. That's crazy. And then it wasn't like completely busted or broken. And I felt like those games, like it was at the appropriate power level for a new deck. I mostly was winning against them, but it wasn't like the new quest is really bad, for example. Like you feel bad for the opponent
Yeah.
when they're like they play the battle for the end of time and you're like, I'm sorry, but this might end up poor. I'm not just playing an arena deck here. This might end up poorly for you. So I really like this mini set. It's having more of an impact than I thought it would, and I'm happy for that. So let's, fingers crossed that they keep the balance going. I don't have too many complaints about the new decks, at least, that have been enabled by this so far.
And those are two different things, right? Like, and I'll just give you a second, Pilot. It's the impact on mostly existing decks. We got a couple new decks, but not a lot. Is different, I think, like than the impact of, hey, Hearthstone's been shaken up. Like it feels different. Come play. You haven't been playing because you didn't like things. Come back because now there's some new things to do. Yes, there's the rogue. Yes, some decks have changed. It's been impactful as far as the decks, but it has been impactful in the way that's like, hey, Hearthstone's now fun and interesting to somebody that hasn't been playing because they were tired of playing the same decks. So I think it's how you quantify impactful. And I'm having fun. I love playing the game. I've liked trying the new cards and all that. So don't take me as being Debbie Downer here, but I'm just saying that I think it really, like, we are engaged players and we're like, oh, Remnant of Rage, that's making all the difference in these decks and blah blah blah. But if you're just like, yeah, I was tired of playing against whatever decks, and now I'm come back and it's still just those decks, and I'm still seeing Elise, and I'm still just seeing Ziliax, and I'm still just seeing, then it's not as impactful for you. So I think that's kind of where there's a balance there, and we're not seeing like it's better for some people. It's not better for others. That's all.
See, to me, that's an entirely different conversation, though. The mini set doesn't delete a deck. Like, the mini set doesn't magically take the top 5 decks from before and say, you are no longer being played. Because normally those are going to get better tools also. Like, I think that that's a different conversation. And I think that that's, I don't like using that when we're trying to talk about if a mini set had impact, to where that's kind of what I was saying, to where I had forgotten about how many, times we've gotten a couple new decks from a mini set. And I do think that that's fair. And I think especially with this one, we went through all the cards last week. We kept talking about how many of them are just solid cards, and just solid, good enough cards to where they don't need a package. They just, need a deck that's willing to run them. The dragon, um, the we've talked about so many times, Remnant of Rage, Press the Advantage, all of these different cards where it's just like, these are just good cards and they're gonna get played. That's not gonna spawn a new deck. Good, they're just gonna take away something that was, the last 4 cards of the previous decks. And that's, I think, what we should expect. Expecting, Ziliax and Control Death Knight to disappear because we got better cards for it to run is, I think, a very unrealistic expectation.
Oh, I agree. But if you're the person that's, if you're, and people that I see online, people that I talk to, people that I know, they're just like, they mini set drops and they're like, oh, it's the same thing. And then it doesn't change their opinion of where things are. That's all. So yes, is it fair to say that that impact is the same thing? No, it's not. And I agree with you that there's been a lot of impactful cards that have really changed it. But as far as where Hearthstone has put itself over the last year, as far as reducing the power level, as we say, or whatever like that, it's not. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't like, now they really got exciting with the StarCraft last year, right? Because that gave us new archetypes, a bunch of things that, and that was almost like it should have been maybe more temporary than it was, because it was problematic for a long time. But Yeah, so like there's a difference there, right? So if like you came back last year and hey, it's StarCraft, oh hey, now these Starship decks are all playable, and oh we got Zerg, we got Protoss, versus now it's like, okay, we have the same decks, cool. It's a different vibe. And I think that it's going to feel that way until we get through rotation and things are different.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously like the big shakeup is what position are we in going into rotation, which is a few months from now still, but it's what else could you expect a mini set to do on the tail end of a year? I think it's maybe the first mini set of the year you can be like, okay, this is a completely changed things. It's a 4 set meta. It's a 6 set meta, right? And we're really living in playing cards mostly from 2024. So it's feeling pretty stale, right? That's the big challenge, and we'll definitely see a huge swing because it seems like they've been trying to tone down the power level significantly since Whizbang. They've been working on this for 2 years to lower the power level. Some weird, occasionally we get like something like the Slither Drake, and you're like, whoa, is this the same team? like, and it seems to be a pretty balanced card, which is like good for them. But we've been looking at some of these other cards and specifically some of these archetypes, like how quests were released and still are pretty unplayable. Like, what were you doing this whole year? I guess, yeah, you want to reduce the power level, but it's I think the what we're expecting as the payoff is to be rotation and to say to a new player coming back, the game has changed. Like they are obviously pushing for more board based like focus to the game, less off board stuff. The off board stuff, like I don't know, I just mentioned Imbue Hunter a little bit ago. I think that caught them off guard quite a bit and quickly corrected. The Brox, they, every once in a while, like something will slip through that's an OTK, and if it happens anytime before turn 10, I think they usually are like, no, we're not going to let this slide. And we'll see where that. I think the whole player base has been like very much saying, hey, what's the game plan here? With nerf after nerf after nerf, and they slowed that down a lot, thank goodness.
Mhm.
But the obviously the big impact will be rotation, and until then, we just have to find fun in the game. Uh, get our last hurrahs with a lot of these decks. Even the decks that came out this year are gonna probably lose about half their cards if you look through them. Mostly because those were just strong cards from last year that
Mhm.
we've gotten used to. All the rogues are losing dubious purchase. Like, how it's gonna feel really different as a rogue when you're not drawing 6 cards, in the game and destroying an opponent's minion. Like, if you're not playing Imbue Rogue, you might feel really starved for draw, without dubious purchase. We don't know what that looks like. So that's gonna change things a lot. The losing perils, like the ramp's gonna kind of disappear quite a bit. Even though we got a really good acceleration aura, the druids are losing stuff like New Heights. Like, it does ramp druid still, or any kind of you know get there fast druid exist? We might be losing entire archetypes. The thing with a mini set, right? Like, it's not going to delete things, and I think that was a great point. That what can we really expect from all this shakeup? And the best we can hope for is something new and fun to play. And I think a lot of people have found between Theme View Rogue and the Broxgar DH, I've heard nothing but good things from both sides of the table. Like, people find neither of these decks offensive, and the people that are playing them, these are some of their favorite decks they've had all year. So I say bravo there.
And that's always interesting too. What you were saying is like and that's a topic for another day. But it's like what makes losing to a deck feel bad versus losing to a deck feel fine. And like with the Imbue Hunter, where it's like, well, I have a board, like I have taunts. There's nothing. Oh wait, never mind. They just made everything come out of the way, and then they just punch me in the face. That kind of, I guess, feels bad because it didn't matter what you did at the end, because whether that's true or not, obviously it matters because how the game went. dictates where you are at that particular position. But in the moment, it's just like, well, no, I had taunts with reborns, and then they just kind of said, never mind, and went right through me. That's why like things like Burn Shaman kind of probably felt bad and stuff like that. Where versus when you're playing against something like an Imbue Rogue, it's like, well, you know, that they generated this, they generated that, or they had to figure out a puzzle, and it doesn't, you didn't lose the same way each time. It was like, oh, I lost to this card this time, and I lost to this card that time. And it doesn't stick in your memory as much because it's not like, oh yeah, I just got Cyrodiil Athreus down again. Oh, hey, look, Cyrodiil Athreus. Oh, Cyrodiil Athreus. Oh, look, hey, it's Cyrodiil Athreus. You know, so it's I agree. I like when where things are going with some of these decks, and hopefully that this is kind of a sign for where we're going in the future.
Yeah, and we didn't get a Yogg or a Kazakusan or anything like that in this mini set. The Murazan is not a good card, unless something very strange happens. And Morchi is going to be something that's run in a couple decks, and some it's fine, some it's greedy and maybe shouldn't be played, but it's fun, and that's okay. So, speaking of cards that have found a place, we've kind of talked around a lot of these with all the decks that we already had that have gotten upgrades, and that's where I think a lot of these cards have, been able to shine. Where we've talked about a few of them, where Wicked Blightspawn, which is the reborn Death Rattle equip 1/2 dagger. If you already have a weapon, give it +2 attack. That's actually been in a ton of the Control Death Knight lists. Because of they were running Foam Render as their 5-drop anyway, so it's just buffing that. I saw some early experimentation, I think, with Rogue that didn't stick, but not enough lists to where it popped up when I was looking through on HS Guru. Remnant of Rage has been in most Death Knights that I've seen, as well as now the Broxgar DH, because now Broxgar is running minions instead of being a spell focus deck or a cliff dive deck with Broxgar in it. Bygone Echoes has found a place. It's being called Frost Death Knight because it runs the Frost Rune cards. But that's been put into a lot of lists, as well as No Minion Demon Hunter. Press the Advantage is in a bunch of Demon Hunter and Druid lists just because it does so many things, and it's just a solid card. Kind of replacing Chaos Strike as a 2-cost draw. Kronagar we've talked about in the aggro DH, Acceleration Aura in the Aura Paladin, obviously, and then I've also seen that has found its way into the copy Druid list with Ajara. Dragon Warrior got a ton of stuff with Time Twisted Seer. It's running Weaponsmith. It's running Eternal Toil for the Pain package, as well as Slither Drake. And Slither Drake, as World 8 was putting in the show notes in all caps as I was getting through it, it's just been in a lot of stuff because anything that runs enough, like 4 dragons, it's going in because it's just a 4-cost, big dragon that, as you said, is feels surprisingly fair because it doesn't feel much different than when they roll a buffed Dark Gift. Like, if that was a 4-cost Dark Gift minion with +2/+2 and elusive, you wouldn't blink an eye. Like, it's just, yep, they got that. It feels very, very similar to that, to where it's annoying. Sometimes it's going to hit you a couple times, but it's fair.
If you're playing on turn 5 and you draw your Slither Drake and you have or you draw your Time Warp Whelp, and you're like, great, don't play the Time Warp Whelp first for the buffs, because then you're not going to play the Slither Drake. Just saying. That might have not come up for me like once or twice.
And then there's been some experiments that have not panned out yet, is what we'll call them. We've talked about the quest for Hunter. There's a lot of people trying that. And I saw it was actually much easier, it sounded like, to complete the quest than what I expected, because of the pack that gives you 5 temporary cards, and then you fill your hand with that, and then they go away, so it's easier to dump your hand. But I saw a lot of, I completed the quest on 4, I played it on 5, and then I died as soon as I played it, which is what I think we kind of expect with that, because it's a really flashy effect, but it's not a win condition with what we have at this point. I saw there's some Zarimi priest lists that are playing around with being a much slower controlling list with Wings of Eternity. That's the Discovery Dragon from the past with the Dark Gift for all time, and then Eternal Firebolt. And then I've seen some Imbue Mage running Bitter End and Eternal Firebolt. Especially I ran into Eternal Firebolt. I got destroyed by an Imbue Mage yesterday. Absolutely run over. I forget what I was playing. I think I was playing the Death Knight, and they hit their abuse early, which is really good when you're playing 1/1s and 2/1s. Really bad plan into that. They hit the Firebolt early, and then they dirty ratted twice, where I had 2 minions in hand with the giant, and both times it missed the giant, and they just ran away with it because by the time I played the giant, I got seat skatered. I got blown up by an Imbue Mage. It's a 45% win rate deck. Don't expect it to do well because I played another one today, and they played 2 cards before they died. 2 cards total. So play it at your own risk, but I have seen Imbue Mage get some experimentation at least.
I'm wondering, and obviously we all kind of think that the Hunter Warlock quest is bad, right? But I wonder if we're thinking about it wrong. Like maybe instead of trying to turbo it out and play the quest reward and then lose, maybe it's something kind of more of a long-term thing where it's like you're playing the game and you'll get to the quest reward, but you're not worried about turboing it out. You're worried about getting yourself to a place where you're stabilizing or whatever, and then you're like, okay, now I'll play it. Now they can't do anything. Now I win. So I wonder, and I'm not saying that's there. I'm just saying, like, I wonder if there's a different way to kind of approach that.
Well, I mean, I think it's also
just a weird spot.
I think it's also maybe a build issue. I've seen people that basically say, "Hey, I'm going to play Discover Hunter, add the quest, add 2 Wilderness packs, and King Maluk and the Deathstalkers." Right? Like you're cutting a whole bunch of cards here. But normally, like Discover Hunter is like pretty easy to finish the first half of it, and it's also a deck that can very easily tutor minions, like and find the king, and it's a deck that also buys time, right? Like it's happy to play the reward, and then you draw a hand, and then you maybe alien encounters, right, on that same turn, or Glacial Shard if you've played it on 6 or something like. I think maybe again it's a build issue where people are really hyper focused on a certain way that it's supposed to be built, but it'll be a shame if people don't keep experimenting with it because I think that direction might have promise, and it's probably worse than Discover Hunter is my guess. But it could happen. It could be possible. Things like Zarimi, I haven't tried it, so that's the big disclaimer. I think it's really interesting that Scale Replica can tutor your Slither Drake, right? Like almost every game you play Scale Replica on 2, coin Slither Drake. Like every single game. Like you cut this is an aggressive version, right? Like you cut all the OTK stuff. You're going back down to let's play a whole bunch of board stuff and then Zarimi. Like you could still fit the Elise in there. You just need a Ziliax at the 9 or either like an Eternus at the 8 or Shaladrazil, something like that. Like it's really not that unreasonable to get Elise active, and you're really like it's sort of quest priest, right? Like your time warp is the reward, and it's a lot easier than the actual quest. I've heard people joking that the Broxigar deck is like the true Demon Hunter quest, right? Like you don't play quest on 1. It's you're doing this other thing that goes through the whole game, but essentially you do have a reward and a payoff. So I had mentioned before, I love seeing that all these people are experimenting with new decks, leading to new cards being tried out. Um, you know, Small nod to somebody decided to include Card Grader, which is a 3 mana 2/4 Naga. If you've played a spell, discover a card from your deck. I think that's going to become standard in Discover Hunter now. I don't know who played it at one point, but they were messing around with TikTok Hunter or something like that. But someone's like, wow, we've had this card in standard for a year and it's a perfect fit for Discover Hunter, right? Because you could play that with a Regari Scout and you get 2 copies of whatever card you found. Really good. So I don't. There's a lot of people playing Hearthstone, and it's a matter of, will these good decks ever, get above the noise? Probably not. But it's one of the reasons that I, stick to the deck builder. I'm always in the client. I'm trying things all the time. I'm not worried about my rank, and it's fun. You really get the chance though to do it in like a week like this. There's a very brief window of time when you can throw a lot of stuff at the wall because everything else is unrefined too, that you can try and assess if these cards are good. Otherwise, you just keep getting run over by the powerful strategies. And maybe again, not everything will pan out, but I think there's still more interesting things to find, even a week or two in. And maybe the Marzand is really strong. We just haven't seen it because we haven't seen a triple blood where they have a 70 max health, right? And then that card goes really hard. Who knows? Maybe someone will try it and that'll be the next gross thing that I don't want to face.
And it's funny that you say that. Like, if you have ideas and you don't think they're going to be good, try them anyway. Like, you were just talking about Zarimi Priest, and you were talking about, hey, playing the Scale Replica, or whatever the card is that draws your highest and lowest dragon. And I'm like, well, what if you don't even play Zarimi? What if you just make a more aggressive Dragon Priest? Like, since you get that out so fast, maybe there's something else you can do there. And it's probably wrong. It's probably bad. It probably won't work, but it might. You never know until you try it. Or maybe you might know. Who knows?
Do we put Burzon instead of Kill Jaden in the Moarg Forge Fiend Heron Death Knight deck? Because you gain health and then you gain a bunch of armor. I can see that, as well as like a blood. Sorry, that's what popped in my head. I also thought of this I saw this. I haven't played this yet, but because of Remnant of Rage, there was Kubu Gaming was streaming Quest Demon Hunter, because they're through in Remnant of Rage, which goes really well with infestations and things like that. So 3 and 2, so small sample size, but someone was actually playing the quest again for the first time like this month.
Anytime I've run into the quest, it's been not bad. Like, I've seen people playing it, and it definitely can get there. It's a completable quest. It's not hard, and I don't know. I think there's potential there. I just don't know why people haven't continued to play around with that one. So maybe
it was really good for me in Arena.
It was also really good in the Brawl when so if you remember the pre-release Brawl, we could run quests for like a minute, and then they banned all the quests because Quest Warlock was completely bonkers in such a low power format. But I actually got like, I did really well with Quest Demon Hunter in that particular format, and it felt very good at the time. Like you were saying, you just throw the insects at their head, and then they do eventually explode when they're doing 4 damage each. So maybe there is something. Broxigar is now starting to play around with Treasure Distributor. It's summoning a lot of pirates. All those pirates would do 2 damage, right? That ticks up pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden, when you have a Dangerous Cliffside, they're all 2/1s and they're all doing 4 damage. Your opponent might explode. So, it's one of those things where also I think some players just aren't trying it, but maybe it's good, and we try it and we see what feels strong, especially in a what they would, a format that's seen nerf after nerf since it was last buffed. Maybe players are, haven't tried it in a while, and it could be interesting.
Agreed. Any other thoughts before we wrap this up, or?
I was about to say, are there any meta predictions? Anything that feels like it's kind of running away now that we think is going to settle down? Something that's been bubbling and kind of going through refinement that I think is going to click once it gets refined?
Well, I think there's still a lot of refinement to be had for decks that have added cards. Something like Dragon Warrior has gone through a few iterations where it started with the Fabled cards, then it dropped the Fabled cards, then it added Elise. Now maybe it's correct to drop Elise because you have a really good 4-drop that contends with that slot or, like, that part of the curve, with the Slither Drake, and there's other cards in there, like an Eternal Toil that haven't been played with, that makes all of a sudden makes this deck feel because the curve has changed, and this is so important when the curve changes, that the deck might get better, right? I think that deck can get better, and it's just gonna be like a solid performer. Like, it's just gonna stay tier 2, and it's gonna do some damage to some it's gonna be one of those decks that just cleans up unrefined stuff, or if the opponents get too greedy, it's very punishing to AFK decks. So I think
Mhm.
that's gonna continue, like, maybe low skill cap, but it's gonna continue to be relevant. Aura Paladin, kind of all over the place. There's builds with Tinctioneer, there's builds with Dorian, very kind of unrefined. It's hard to really assess, in my opinion, what the best direction for the deck is. Maybe you turbo Galvin, maybe you don't. That's a deck that I think is going to remain competitive, very kind of linear, but just strong. And as these decks continue to refine, some of the other decks, like the Hagatha Shaman, which got no support, probably stays in place and then gets a little bit worse in comparison. Or something like Protoss Priest, which hasn't played a new card in like 6 months. That gets a little bit worse too. Uh, you know, in terms of meta trends, as we start to refine decks, the older ones the really grindy Death Knights actually start to get a little bit worse too, because they've been beating up on decks that have no refinement. So they play an Infested Breath on 2, and they clean up all like the aggro decks that haven't put their pieces together. Imbue Rogue can get significantly better. I think there's a lot of change to be had. I think generally though, we're gonna continue to be in a somewhat greedy format. So unfortunately, it means whatever the best greed is will probably, win at the end of the day. But I'm hoping that, for example, something like Broxigar, they let it continue to develop. I could see that deck being very threatening as like the OTK deck that if you just AFK for a while, you're gonna explode, right? And I think we're gonna start to see a balance, and mostly we're gonna see old decks fall out of favor, generally, and decks might not ever really get a chance to compete again. But I think that generally we're gonna mostly players are gonna be interested in the new stuff, and that's probably gonna carry through until rotation, in my opinion.
And actually, I just wonder if there's other decks too that we can try. Like you're saying, like everyone's already kind of looking at like the new cards and all that, but I'm also looking at maybe I can try doing the bubble paladin again. Maybe getting the aura is enough there to speed it up a little faster to be a little better. Maybe we can actually get Rooney working. With that. I don't know. If you play Rooney a turn earlier and then you have all your minions with +5/+5, does that work? Maybe in an aggro deck or maybe even like a bubble deck or something. Who knows? So yeah, like keep experimenting. Like this is the perfect time of you have a solved meta or close to a solved meta going into the mini set. Now we have a little bit of shakeup. So it'll be solved, quote unquote, solved in a week or two, probably, right? And then we'll get a balance patch. But it's the end of the year. You have all the cards. Nothing's going to change after this except from some balance. So now's a great time to practice or learn how to build decks and try things and be different because you have all the tools at your disposal. Go nuts. And if you lose, you lose. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that can especially help keep the meta in check. It just requires people to try it and play it. Like World 8 talked about, the Broxgar DH has the chance to, keep some of the greedy, AFK decks, in check. I've been dealing 30 plus to Quest Warriors and to Death Knights and whatnot with this Unholy Death Knight. And Paladins, just OTKing them when plan A doesn't work. And we haven't had decks like that have stuck around for most of this year that have kind of kept that in check to where if you have those, if the imbue rogue gets solved to where it can also fight, greed for greed with the Death Knight, then that's another slower deck to where then those two are trying to balance each other out, and these other decks are kind of coming underneath, and it kind of gives us a little bit more checks and balances, hopefully, in the meta to where now those greedy decks are being punished. I don't think it's going to speed up a lot, but if there's something that punishes them, then people are going to start to get off of them, and we're not going to see 15% control Death Knight and 15% shaman and stuff like that. I did find it really interesting. You mentioned the Dragon Warrior, how many reiterations that's gone through with adding the Fable, taking it away, going to Elise, and now it has a reason to drop Elise, which is something that we've been talking about for the past few months, to where every deck is running Elise because there's no punishment to it right now, because there's not many decks that have a curve that they want to run that doesn't fit the Elise requirement. So you might as well just take out a couple of these cards, put in an 8, 9, and a 10 or a 0, and you're fine. Now Dragon Warrior has a reason to be like, oh, I can't fit hit 10 different mana costs. Let's lower the curve. Let's be a little bit more aggressive and see what happens with that. And I think it's the right move.
Yep. No. Does anybody have any final thoughts then, or we can wrap this up? Oh, well, one game I want to say. So when I was doing the Imbue Shaman, I was playing Merlone, and I generated the Paladin Great Beast that casts your spells as auras, and I got that on the what is it called? Instant Multiverse or whatever, the one that plays 12 mana worth of stats. Getting that 3 turns in a row. Yes, you're getting overloaded each turn. But that's really, really good. So, World 8, question for the week. We've already asked you many, many, many questions. This week, we're going to ask you just something pretty basic. Sweet or salty?
Salty. That's it's there's a range there, but definitely if you're picking one of the two, it's probably salty.
Spoken like a true Hearthstone player. So if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/breadandbutterhs. You get access to the raw audio early, access to a member channel on Discord, and you get to help shape future episodes. If you'd like to help us in a non-financial way, just let people know about the show and let us know how we're doing. You can also give us a 5-star review. Helps other people find the show. And also you can suggest guests that you'd like to see in the future, because we just want to interview people that you want to hear from. And that's what makes the show great. You can also find us at Bread and Butter HS on YouTube, where we post the VODs now from the show, as well as other content. World 8, where can people find you on social media?
The best place to find me is World 8 on Discord. No numbers there, just all letters. I'm generally pretty friendly, and we'll talk Hearthstone to anyone who reaches out. Otherwise, on social, including something like Twitch, it's world8_HS. And I may or may not respond to messages on social media, much more likely to reach me on Discord.
Pilot, where can people find you?
You can find me Pilot712, that's PYLET, on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Discord.
And you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Discord, TikTok at Tito Santana HS. World 8, do you have anything you'd like to shout out or promote this week? Or just shout?
Well, I'll promote the Vicious Syndicate podcast. I feel like we have found our groove again. And not that we ever lost it, but around the holidays it was tough with scheduling, and glad to be back on regular pattern that I feel like the last 2 episodes were both really strong. The shout out for this week is to my son. As I mentioned at the top of the show, he is really good at Portal, and I feel like the student has become the master here in terms of video games in our house, and that's just a really awesome moment to have.
If you don't call Zacho, how Zacho got his groove back next time, I'm going to be disappointed. Pilot, you got anything you'd like to promote or shout out this week?
Gonna shout out Joltsy. listener and friend of the show. We were
Patron.
chatting about the Death Knight in the Discord earlier this week because they also hit legend, I think, with it and they climbed, a bunch of ranks with it. They tweaked the list a little bit, which we talked about earlier, but was fun kind of talking about why some of the cards were in and experimenting with different things.
And I'm gonna promote myself. Go to my YouTube, Tito Santana HS. I've been doing a lot more there and getting some traction and trying to build up. So if you're not sub yet, just go ahead, do that. Or if you don't want to sub, that's fine. Give it a view. But I'm also going to shout out this week Linny and Chewy, who got engaged. So another Hearthstone couple that are found each other through Hearthstone, as far as I understand, and going on through the world together afterwards. So fantastic. I guess it's a good meta for them. But anyway, guys, I think we're toast. We'll see you.
See ya.
All right. See ya.
All right. And that'll do it.
We did it.
We did it.
So I did think of when you were talking World 8 about how, I think as you were saying, Imbue Rogue, isn't quite as offensive, or maybe as Tito was saying that I had one of the games I won with the Burn Rogue because it just runs the Imbue spell for damage, and I generated a Stadium Announcer. So against the Warrior, they played Bulwark because I knew I was going off next turn, and I was able to blow up their Bulwark, and I got a Climbing Hook with 6 attack.
Nice.
So they might have taken a little bit of offense to that game.
Yeah,
and to your point about Protoss Priest, I still have seen so much more Protoss Priest than anything.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw 2 games.
I've seen none.
Because I'm getting them all for
magnet.
you. I'm taking all your strays.
Yeah. Well, I think it also is like very rank dependent, to be honest. So
I'm a legend. Stop playing Protoss Priest.
It's the only good priest deck right now.
Yeah. So I've been playing like a ton of Egglock, like I said, and the control warrior matchup is like super favored. Like I don't know, it's like a 70-30, or like I went on some crazy win streak. Like I had like 90% win rate into them, but it was just a grind. Like it's like I'm not like the cat playing with its food. I'm like I win by this going to turn 10. Like you don't realize that you need to be the aggressive one here, because eventually I'm gonna get a wave of eggs. You're gonna do everything you can to clear it. I'm gonna get another wave of eggs. You're gonna do everything you can to clear it, and then you die in the third wave of eggs. Like it was game after game after game, but it was like 20 minutes every time. And I was like, this is a win. I just gotta like wait it out, which was annoying. But seeing a lot less of them and seeing a lot more Dragon Warrior, and then Dragon Warrior just kind of stops Egglock. So be careful what you wish for, I think.
Yeah.
There.
I want to
but
see. I want to
definitely
see.
gonna try.
Good.
I'm definitely gonna try some triple unholy here. I think Grave Strength was definitely, like I said, it was kind of like I was missing that a lot with the Frost build. Even though Infested Breath's really good. I don't know about the Zerg build. I mean, I just tossed it together, put it in the chat. Maybe fine. Maybe fine. I don't know if it's gonna be quite as sticky though, and I think the stickiness is really important.
Yes, the stickiness is what makes that deck tick.
Work,
because
yeah.
you get chip damage early, and you just like it does decent against other aggressive decks because you just don't fall behind on board. Like you do just enough to kind of stay stabilized. And I trade a ton in the early game, and then you have this big swing turn. I had a game earlier today. I played both Pterodax on turn 4 with the giant or 2. Like it was disgusting. I had this huge swing on turn 4 and they just died.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the stats, like giant looks pretty bad. Tomb Guardian's pretty sus, right? So like some of the other cards that look really good are like Blobatar.
I could see Blob over the list that I have is just one Tomb Guardian. I could see Blob over that, especially because you don't need 4 drops for release.
Yeah, and if you
Um,
play the blob, then you have less like corpse spending, in general. But you do have the Exarch, so I don't know.
but yeah, Exarch has
Play
been
around with it.
the most awkward one. To where Exarch's kind of normally just I really need to get this out early, or I really need to spend these corpses and drop a giant with them and have a big swing turn.
Yeah, swing turns are important.
But it's kind of a plan B.
Yeah.
I'm looking here, and I was just thinking, I'm like, hey, that Archdruid warlock kind of went away. We haven't seen that except for like, since it was on the
Oh,
Masters or
yeah.
whatever like that. But I want to get TikTok into the Archdruid.
Well, TikTok probably can find. So I don't know. I think there's like one very very specific list of control priest I've seen floating around that actually has a decent win rate. It cuts out a lot of the unnecessary stuff, which is not too surprising. All like the tech cards.
For all time's a good
Um,
card.
Yeah, so for all time, like you
Yes.
just play like
Very
good
good card.
card. You play good cards instead of tech cards. Like you play Whelp of the Infinite. You don't play Overplanner. Right? Like you're playing these cards and for all time, and you just I don't know. I guess the problem is that the win condition is like Aviana and
Yeah.
it like takes forever, and yeah, I don't know. All right.
Sweet.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I think it was
Also-
a pretty good episode. I think I was trying to stretch it out, not gonna lie.
No, we don't need.
'cause
If we
we-
come in under an hour, we come in under an hour. That's
I was
fine.
gonna say we've had a lot of long
Okay.
episodes lately. We're good with a couple shorter
Okay.
ones here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
So-
never,
I
never
mean,
feel
it's-
like
We're like an
Never
hour
feel like you have
15.
to
That's
stretch
spot
too
on.
much. Yeah. Okay.
So I did by time I almost jumped in at one point because you were saying something about the people jumping into the mini set and saying the same thing and being like, oh, nothing changed. I'm like, are those people that we need to listen to? Like, do we really care about their opinion if they jump in they jump in their first game as a control death knight and they say nothing changed? I'm like that, but I deal with too many of those types of people in my line of work, so that might be because I'm tired of stuff. I always get tired of stuff like that. I get so tired of when you have the people who are set in their ways, and anytime something might slightly change for them for the better of everyone that is doing something, they can't see past their own nose.
Yeah. I don't know how you queue on ladder and you play like 5 games and you don't see like 2 imbue rogues.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like okay, yeah, it like runs like a whole bunch of the new like same stuff like flashback and deja vu and Elise, but like as soon as you get to like turn 5 and they start clicking the button, like the game really changes.
Mhm.
Maybe not if you are playing Grave Strength on 6 and killing them, but if the game goes somewhat long, like here's the latest post in Vicious Syndicate. I know it's a bit
Okay.
cringe, but Imbue Rogue is some of the most fun I've had in Hearthstone in a while. Like that's an opinion I hear all the time.
Yep.
Because I stay pretty active in the VS like Discord, obviously, but people like keep saying it. They're like, I'm happy with this 50-50 deck. Like it's totally fine. Like I get why it's 50-50 and I'm fine with that.
Yes.
No,
So-
it doesn't even have to be 50. It could be a 45-50 and people still play it.
Yeah.
Like they're maybe not that bad, but yeah.
Yeah. If that style of deck is right there, 48 to 50, 51% win rate, that's perfectly fine. You probably don't want something like that dominating the meta. But
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And actually the best Imbue Rogue decks look like they're like mid 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ones that basically cut all the imbue cards except for like Bitter Bloom Knight and then like 2 weapons, something like that.
Yep.
Right. Like that's enough though. Like because you still get to click and maybe you shadow step the knight and yeah, I mean I played a bunch of Imbue Priest when it was actually good, right? And like half the time, like even if you discount by 4, like you're not getting anything meaningful discounts on 4, right? Like you still find like your 2 drop or whatever. So I don't know. I think people are gonna have a lot of fun with that. It's gonna be sticky. I'm gonna see a lot of it until rotation, as long as it's like somewhat competitive.
I think we're gonna see a lot of it for longer than that. I think it's gonna be one of those ones that never dies. It's because it's gonna be something that people like. So it'll go away and then it'll come right back. Like it'll be like, oh hey, we're no longer playing this. Oh, by the way, we swapped out this card. Now we're playing this again. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So looking at this is actually one of the decks that doesn't lose a lot on rotation. Loses like Dubious Purchase and Ziliax, like really short list here.
Dubious.
And space. Yeah, so like Space Rock Collector and Dubious. Yeah, but like that's the whole point of Imbue is to fill your hand with like stuff. Right? If you're not playing Dubious, then maybe you're playing more of your other stuff.
Yeah.
And there's also
still
like,
only one card that is reduced, so you're probably playing it.
Yeah. Bro can also play Pedal Picker. Which is draw 2.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not completely like, yeah, it's a lot less cards, but like of all the decks that I'm looking at, like this suffers like some of the least here.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of decks are just gonna get deleted. Like even Aura Paladin plays like a ton of cards from last year. Most of the auras, right? So
Pilot, whatever happened to Egg Paladin?
I haven't gone back to it.
it's probably fine, to be honest.
Yeah.
It probably is. So that was one that surprised me too.
Should try Crazed Alchemist. It's a good way to activate your egg.
Oh, Worley, I did get the Paladin combo to work once.
Oh, you did? Somebody did it on me. I was super impressed. I saw an Aura Paladin got to 10 mana, and then they just OTK'd me.
Nice.
Like I thought, I was completely surprised. It was awesome.
The suggestion was, and then this is not what I did, is you play the guy, and then you play Crazed Alchemist, so he has such a big butt that he can't be just killed from damage, and then you play another Crazed Alchemist, and then you can swing into it because he's always going to be there.
Oh, yeah, I guess, or just kill him.
Yeah, no, I got it once. I tried it all night, or I tried it for like an hour on stream, and I couldn't get it. And then game 1, day 2, I got it, and so I was able. I got the clip done. We're done with this.
Nice,
but yeah, Egg Paladin I don't think needs Crazed Alchemist because it was running the Terran package because then you play
right.
Hellion for Rush.
Yeah, Hellion just does it all. Yeah. That's cool. That's fun.
That was
you have other stuff like Umbra and Carnivorous Cubicle, right? Other ways to like duplicate your egg, and Elise duplicates eggs. I finally had to give up on my Animancer egg lock. It was sad.
I played against it once.
The Animancer egg lock?
I did. They played Animancer, and they played Eat the Imp on it because they needed lifesteal, and then it didn't summon a beast, and then they conceded.
No, it summons the beast before Eat the Imp works.
Well, they did not summon anything.
No, they probably had everything in their hand then. That's why I stopped playing it. Is because like I would draw all the beasts.
Yeah.
And like I have a certain stomach for patches, but like I played a lot of games with that list, and then I was like, you know what? It's better just to turbo. Like the more I played the game, like the more I played the list, the more like I learned the deck. It's a really cool deck, and I'll still maybe play it, but like I was like, okay, the play pattern here is just to like get a pair of almost cracked eggs on turn 6 and then crack them both. Like that was like how I was winning most games. It's like stabilize into that and then crack both eggs on 7, and then you just kind of like the opponent. You've effectively gained 40 health against a lot of players, and then you just buy time until Umbra. But anyway,
I'm just looking like it's so weird to like look and see like, oh, these cards are in standard and whatever. Why aren't people trying? Have people tried Story of Lucari with the quest in Warlock? For those
Probably
that
not
don't know.
because it costs 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't do anything. You just kind of die still, right? So.
Yeah. But like I'm looking like there's a lot of cards. I'm just looking through Warlock. I'm like, I don't even remember these were cards. I don't remember ever talking about these.
Mm-hmm.
Fine print.
Because they were
When's-
bad.
Deal 4 damage to all minions. Excess hits your hero.
Oh, on my ladder climb when I was like D2 or something, someone coin conceded against me.
Nice.
I've had that happen to me several times. And they're like, they'll message me, are you part of the Coin Concede podcast? No.
That's what we pilot. We
Just the
need that. We
Discord.
need
You
need something that
effect.
we need that effect to people that sometimes will just give us games because we're on the podcast.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Gonna
It was
have
like it
butter our
was a
bread.
Dragon Warrior or something. So
I
was
got
natural in
recognized
that
a
one.
couple times. I had one of my THL matches. The first game, I had the trumpet rag skin or whatever it was, and they commented just like, "Awesome skin, and even better knowing that you're a band director."
Oh wow.
Nice.
That's
I'm
cool.
like, "Oh, that's someone who listens."
Oh yeah. So I really gotta like help stop myself from tweaking that list pilot and just play it because I'm
Then
like I
tweak
want to
it.
put Whelp of the Infinite in there because that's super sticky as well because like people don't want to trade into that like Lavatar
Mhm.
put a bunch of stuff in there that's I don't know just generally like people like players don't want to kill it and then you grave strength right.
I think sometimes
Yeah.
though, like you tend like as good of a deck builder as you are, I think sometimes you want to tweak a deck so it's not the deck anymore. And it's like it's a better deck. These are better cards, but it kind of loses the heart of what you were trying to do. And not necessarily that was the wrong thing. but
So,
I think I
sometimes.
feel like I understand the philosophy here, right? It's a bloodlust deck.
no, I don't mean here, but I mean sometimes
Yeah.
like just
So I could
like, I wanna
definitely
play these
see
cards.
it because I haven't run into where I've been punished by an early big minion because I've hit Elise on time every time that's happened. If I didn't, like the one paladin, they played Tank Engineer and they, traded it to have the 7/7 Divine Shield. And if I didn't have Elise, I just get run over that game. So I could definitely see it. The most questionable cards, I would say, from while I've been playing it, have been Tomb Guardians. I could see going. I really
Yeah.
like the card, but it's gone from a 2 of to a 1 of. Exarch, especially if you take out Fire Rack and go with a Wisp instead.
Yeah, I cut the giant to the second giant.
I could see that. If you're cutting a Tomb Guardians, that I could definitely see going down to one giant. I've really liked the giants just because typically they're coming down after they've just kind of gone through a couple waves of sticky, you throw down, your Ancient Raptor, you have a, Dark Gift from Creature of Madness, they get through that. You play, a Shadows of Yesterday, they get through that, and now you have giants. And it's kind of, I've typically been able to time them to where they've stuck. So it's definitely something to where it's not needed. It's not the main game plan, but it is something to where you can time against opponents to make it extra awkward. Monstrous Mosquito has been probably the questionable one drop.
Really?
It's
That's
good.
not
It
solid.
just it's good. It just never sticks. It's good. It just never sticks.
Yeah.
So, like, you get a couple extra chip damage typically, but every deck is able to blow it up the next turn pretty much. I've never had it stick more than a turn,
but I've had good
which might be worth it. But it's
either
still
on
doesn't
turn 1 or turn
snowball.
2 playing the Zerg, coining out the Mosquito,
Oh,
or
yeah.
on turn 2. Like it can really kind of get you a good start, even if they target it right away. You can get some value out of it.
Yeah, it's good turn 1, turn 2, and doesn't really do anything after that. To where if you need to cut, I could see that. Body Bagger, I've I think has been solid just because of the 3 health, because it trades early on.
Well, I swapped it for Mermy.
Okay.
So I'm at. And you like the Creature of Madness is still good.
I've liked the Creature of Madness, especially just because we're only running 3 drops.
Here, I'll send what I have. Well, I added Whelp of the Infinite, right?
Yeah, if you're running another 3-drop, I could see dropping Creature.
Okay, so Whelp.
So like Tomb Guardians.
And the other one
the
other
Creature
card
if you're
that
playing
looks
another 3.
The other card that looks really good in stats is Zephyros. Right.
Are you guys scrolling through cards?
I hate Zeph.
I've never been a fan of Zeph in any deck that I've played him in, pretty much.
This definitely needs another 2.
Yes, if you're cutting Creature, then you probably need another 2-drop.
No, I mean maybe it's just 1 Whelp. I don't know. I feel like Baron's not that sticky.
It's not, but you need the draw.
Need to draw.
Because
no, I get it.
So yeah, Baron, Falric's pretty good because it's targeted.
No, Falrix looks solid across the board here.
Falric's really good.
I've also seen like people running Horizon's Edge. Jolty was running 1 copy of that.
I could see it, other than I feel like every time I've had a Horizon's Edge board, they clear it first. Anyways.
Yeah.
Or it's in the late game and you also have a lease location on board. And now that's 2 spots that are gone.
Yeah. The one card that was super impressed me with the other list was Army of the Dead.
I thought about that one.
Really good with Remnant. So let's see here. Creature.
I very strongly considered that one because of Remnant.
So Army. So this is kind of where I'll send this. This is kind of where I ended up. This is like me like going into the kitchen and overcooking, right? So yeah, I don't know. Like the Zerg one's probably fine. It's just like, especially because you lost Yodler, right? Yodler on the Infestor was such an important play.
Well, we lost the health on Infestor also.
Well, yeah, that's the most important thing. So that's kind of where it ended up.
I'll give it a go.
I cut
for sure.
Yeah, I didn't keep the Whelp of the Infinite in there, but I could see maybe cutting the Mosquito for a Whelp. I mean, Whelp's like two bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll play around with that because I think the Mermy and Zergling is fine for 1s. Yeah, well, maybe I'll cut the Mosquito for a Whelp.
Mermy's probably better than Body Bagger.
Yeah, it's sticky. Right. Well.
And essentially does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need the corpse right away. Right? Like you can't.
That's been the thing. I've had a couple.
That's kind of it. Yeah.
I've had a couple turn 5s where it's Body Bagger Grave Strength because I need that last corpse.
Yeah. I'll play around.
Or Body Bagger Pterodax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I ran into that when I was playing Hand Buff Death Knight a bunch. Like I was a pretty big. Like everyone's like, oh, you got to play Morbid Swarm. I'm like, Body Bagger's actually kind of pretty good. Well, in Hand Buff Death Knight, it soaks all the buffs. You get like a 1 mana 3/5 or 1 mana 5/7, and then like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I've gone through a lot of stuff here. I don't know. I'll try this. I'm going to start with this, I think.
Nice.
And maybe if I have the double Army, if I have Army, I'd go to Army and Stitch Giant, that second Stitch Giant.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, Army was like one of the cards that super impressed me. Because those stick around. Like it's surprising how much those 2/2 stick around for a turn. And you just win. You win like every board with them. And then you Remnant of Rage, right? Reload.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good card.
All right, I'm gonna sign off. I gotta walk the dog at 20. So don't be too jealous here, Tito. It's 20 degrees and slush. It decided not to snow. It is snowing temperature, and it came down as slush, and it is stuck at slush.
Yeah.
Nice.
That dog. I got to take the dog out because I let her out in the backyard, and she takes 2 steps down, and then she looks at me, and she's like, "Are you kidding me?"
Oh, my dogs love. They'll run out there. They love going out in the snow.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not snow.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
20 degrees slush. I don't
Fair.
blame her. All right. Well, take care, guys. Good
right.
episode.
Yeah,
You have a
you
good
too.
And thanks
All
for coming
right.
on last minute. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, and I'm gonna skip duo. Sunday's a bit late.
Okay.
All right, you have a good night, sir. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Yep.